is a prediction of how would be the game. And I, I was incredible because the percentage, a high percentage of the prediction was so high about how the game will be that it feels that you already watched the game. I was coaching in Barcelona and I used Kognia data to help my team how to we can prepare the games, how we can prepare trainings. But then for the World Cup wasn't a new animal. I have to broadcast games and talk through games as pounded. And with that, I need to analyze both teams, two teams in the same time. So that was difficult for me because normally when I use data for my team and against who we're playing. And in this case, I have to analyze both teams in the same way. And Kognia gave me a balance in between, not to be more favorable to one team or to the other, but to make this mix and have a game instead. Yeah, when you approach as a coach, you have your team, and when it's a very dominant team, your approach is how I will damage the others, but also how I can prepare myself defending. So within that, you prepare the game instead of how I will attack them, how I will defend them with our higher press. But in the other hand, as a TV commentator, the thing is that how are the strength and the weakness of both teams? And with that, you create patterns of how do you think will be the battle, where they will fight each other, where will be the dominant areas, zones, players. And with that, you create a game. You predict the game before it's played. I always found in football, and I share that a lot with Guardiola. And I remember he said to me, Thiago, the games are won in the midfield, and that's true. At the beginning, I was looking at the teams that they have the strongest midfield, and with Kognia data after the game, you see the zone, you see the involvement of those players, not just about the pass, where they receive the ball, where the other team is as well in the midfield area. And with that, you see that the two strongest teams in the middle, they're right now in the final. Spain and Argentina, they have the two strongest midfield in the World Cup, but not the last game, but the whole World Cup. You see Spain with Rodri, with Fabian, Pedri, with Dani Olmo. Then Argentina, you go McAllister, Paredes, you've got Enzo Fernandez as well. That they dominate the game there in the middle. And then when Messi is dropping in Argentina in the middle, it helps. When Oyarzabal is dropping in the middle, it helps Spain as well. So with that, you create a situation that you say, yes, midfield, they win games. When I use Kognia data, it's just, I love it because the feeling as I had, that's the most important thing, the feeling that you have as a former player to see the game and to feel, okay, I felt that, for example, Anderson with England, he was everywhere on the pitch, but he was right on time, right in the moment to get the ball or to press and you see the data then and says, okay, what I've seen on the pitch, it happened. Here it is, the data. But then when you see, for example, Cabo Verde, how they press in the middle when they are in a low block and they press in the middle when the team tried to attack them, was incredible. And then you recognize as well with the data. Within the data with Kognia is my point of view watching the game. Then I have like a backup saying, okay, it really happened. I didn't dream that it happened. So with that, I love to have this share information with Kognia. Yeah, because the game, when it's played in different areas, you see, okay, where the ball is. And sometimes we forget about what is happening on the other side. And Kognia give you, watch out, it's not where the ball is. Something is happening on the other side. Some winger is just running through to get this chip ball and he will finish the action. So watch out this player, because when things are happening on one side, the other side will happen something and they will finish the action here. So this is one of the small examples that many of Kognia can give you. And I use it a lot to say, okay, we see the game in this way, they creating chances by this. So with Kognia, I have that. The most important thing to prepare games that Kognia gave me is about how each coach of each national team they were as a coach, like how they perform, not just with the national team, but also in club teams. So how are the patterns, how they play, what they are in the different situations of the game. And with that, you say, okay, the game is going that way because the coach behaves this way and the other coach behaves that way. So that you create, you understand the game. And then within the game, you have to know the players. But the first plan is from the coach. And when the coach plans something, you know forehand because of Kognia analyze how was the coach months or year before that game. There are a lot of things we talk. Kognia make me. I remember that when we were already in not in the group stage in the round of 32, that the tendency of the low block of the national teams, and that tendency just broke that the weakest team started in a low block, but suddenly after the hydration break, there's a goal. There's another dynamic coming through, and Cognia showed me why this dynamic happened. And that's very important because the teams they got this. They changed the way they play in this 3 minutes break, and Cognia say, okay, they have a plan in the first 25 minutes. Then after this 3 minutes, they change the game plan for the last 20 minutes. Every team they need to score goals to go through this tournament. So what's the way of going through? Which is the key player? And I remember the game, very simple game, New Zealand game that we have Wood in front and Elijah running through. How is that pattern? How they find this player, these two players? And also, I'm talking about a national team that probably no one watched before, neither myself. Because when we talk about France, we talk about Spain, Argentina, England, great national teams. But then when you have to talk about the smaller national teams, you have to learn about them. But then it's, okay, what is football? Football is about scoring goals and not conceding. But you need to score a goal to go through in some point. So we have to analyze Iran, you have to analyze New Zealand, Egypt, Cape Verde, different teams, different approaches, and with that you say, okay, who is a key player? The Bakuna brothers with for the Cape Verde. So with that, you know where is the key player and where the team is going with the ball. As a commentator, I have to talk through specific games. So within days in advance, I say to them, okay, I have to talk about this game, 2, 3, or 1 game a day, and they prepare that in advance. So as I told you, the profile of a coach, the profile of the team, key players, and then the weakness and strength, and how will be the matchup in between these two teams. So it's a prediction of how will be the game, and I was incredible because the percentage, a high percentage of the prediction was so high about how the game will be that it feels that you already watched the game and you were very prepared. Okay, what happened? Everybody got surprised about this team. Say, no. We knew already that's going to happen because of the Cognia prediction.